As I ring the peace bowl, I invite you to take a number of deep breaths in, and then slowly breathe out. And let peace come to you and be with you and with our world. We acknowledge that these lands that we love are the unceded lands of the Yavapai people. Good morning, I am Suki Jones, she, her pronouns, and I am your worship associate today. Who here considers themselves creative? I want to see every hand go up because I believe we are all endowed with a creative spark that happened at the time we got zapped with that spark of life. And it manifests differently in each of us. And this morning, Reverend Michelle will be exploring how we might keep ourselves open to creativity.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Michelle LaGrave, she, her, and I am the minister here at Granite Peak UU Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. I am a queer, white, disabled woman with short, spiky / curly hair, funky glasses, and wearing a blue stole with world religious symbols quilted onto it. If you are here visiting for the first time today or still kind of newish, I want to send out an extra special, extra warm welcome to you. We are so glad that you are here. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whether you've walked in or rolled in or zoomed in, whichever your pronouns, whomever you love, whether you consider yourself to be creative or not, you are welcome here. You belong here.
We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting a chalice. Our chalice lighter this morning is Catherine Forthen. We light this chalice in recognition of the creative spark that dwells in all of us. and in gratitude for the slightly odd and independent thinkers, the risk takers, the makers, the visionaries, and the dreamers, as we pool our talents and ideas to create beloved community.
This is an invitation to bring. Bring your open-mindedness, your curiosity, your urge to explore new ideas, new places, new cultures, your desire to connect to other human beings, your eagerness to laugh, to maybe even be a little bit silly, your willingness to experiment, your need to love, and come. Come into this sanctuary, this place of refuge, this oasis of hospitality, care, and connection. We are gathered. Let us worship. And let us begin by rising either in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, 3 times, with a fade out.
Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, yet again come. Come, yet again come.
Please join me in saying the words to our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is it's a prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together.
As we prepare to receive the offering this morning, let us remember your contributions are a tangible commitment to the mission and vision of this congregation. Your support is entwined with all that we believe and all that we do here together. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. This month's recipient is Empty Bowls, our huge annual event to support local food banks. And you can read more about it on the screen there, and note the date, September 13th. Y'all come out. only announcement today. Each Sunday, half the plate offering, as well as designated checks, are given to a local organization helping others. If you'd like your entire check to go to Seeds of Support, be sure to say so on the memo line. If you'd like to contribute online, please visit our website at prescottuu.org. The ushers will now collect the offering. Bless you. We acknowledge the generosity of spirit expressed in this offering. What is given is love, is received in gratitude. Amen and blessed be. And I have to say, I never realized that if I had a hammer, it could sound so jazzy.
I invite you into a time of meditation. Please find a comfortable place in your seats, whatever is most comfortable for your body. Find a way to connect to the ground, to the earth, which nurtures all of us. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and take a deep breath in. On even the toughest days, weeks, months, years, we maintain that spark of human creativity. Sometimes it may feel like it is buried so deep it will never emerge again. Other times, that spark of creativity bubbles to the surface like a fountain about to overflow. And so we take a few moments now to go deep within, to encounter that spark, that spark of creativity, the origin of that overflowing fount. It is here that we find our muse and bid her hello.
We continue now in the spirit of sharing. As we experience this time of meditation and music, we take a few moments to silently acknowledge the joys and sorrows on our hearts and minds. Whatever you hold in your hearts, we will hold with you. If there is an event that moves you to joy or concern, hope or gratitude, grief or remembrance, you are invited to come forward and drop a pebble into our communal water as an affirmation of our connection to one another. May our joys and concerns, surrounded by the healing communal water of our beloved community, be acknowledged here today. So may it be. And now let us sing Spirit of Life.
Our reading today comes from The Place of All Possibility by Rabbi Adina Allen. She is the founder of the Jewish Studio Project, if you are familiar with that, which is a creative art process that allows people to go deep theologically and artistically. She says, the creative act of following our own intuition can have positive consequences that ripple out into the wider world. As we practice recognizing and honoring our own deep knowledge and intuition, listening for the call that beckons us and following where it leads, especially when that place is unclear, uncomfortable, or unknown, we develop within us the capacity to create positive social change and personal transformation. Many thinkers, from Albert Einstein to Audre Lorde, have pointed out that we need new tools and new manners of thinking to solve the problems that plague us. Perhaps what we need is to go our own way, with an awareness and appreciation of what came before us, and a commitment to cross-pollinating our ideas with one another, so that we might open the possibility of a more resilient and resonant world. When I went to seminary, I chose Andover Newton Theological School. This was back when its campus was right outside of Boston. And one of the reasons that I chose this school was because it really seemed to focus on a balance between head and heart. There was the applied academic knowledge of the classes, and then there was the creative and artistic expression and deep personal reflection and self-growth that went along with it, as opposed to some other schools that really seem to focus on just the academics. And I knew I needed that balance. Otherwise, I would be in my head too much. And at Andover Newton, one of the appealing factors was they had an art studio. It was beneath the meeting house where the Unitarian Universalists held worship, and it was filled with all sorts of art supplies. It wasn't just painting. You could make mosaics, all sorts of things. And there was an art night once a week, a person whose job was to open up the art studio and be there to facilitate and help people find what they need and all those sorts of things. I loved going to it. But one night I had this paper that I had to do. It was one of those that was not coming easy. It was not flowing. I was just really struggling through it. And I was frustrated because I really wanted to go to art night, and this paper was due the next morning. And eventually I decided to listen to advice that had been given before by this facilitator, that sometimes art is just what you need when you're feeling stuck. And so I gave up on the paper for a little bit and headed over to art night and spent an hour or so there being creative, just doing whatever came up in the moment, and went back to my paper, and it just flowed out of me. The easiest thing ever to write. I'm going to share some stories of creativity today because, if some of you will remember, a few months ago I talked about the work of Margaret J. Wheatley and how she thought that what we need, what the world needs in the face of global civilization collapse, is for people to create local islands of sanity. That was her phrase. Afterwards, we had some conversations at social hour and in meetings afterwards about how us being in the high desert and wanting to really be more welcoming and hospitable should be an oasis instead of an island. But she gave us three attributes of what these islands, what these oases might look like. They were generosity, creativity, and kindness. So that's why I want to speak about creativity today. I do feel like Granite Peak is an oasis, a local oasis of care, of spirituality, a community oasis. You can help me out here if you want, throw out words. What kind of oasis is Granite Peak? Welcoming oasis, safe oasis. Oh, that was all at once. Peace, oasis of peace, a comfortable oasis, open-minded oasis, an oasis of love. Enabling compassion. Okay, I think there were a couple other I couldn't hear. Fun oasis. Yes, it is a fun oasis. An adventure? A dancing oasis. Yes, we are. We learned that this weekend. A beautiful oasis? Okay. A truthful oasis. That goes along really with Margaret J. Wheatley's idea about these islands, these oases. Her foundational principle behind it is that we need places, these islands of sanity, that have an honest relationship with reality. So while we are thinking about the ingredient of creativity in this context, I want to encourage us to begin thinking about some creative local solutions, actions, things that we can do while the world is on fire. How can we be, or how can we become a people that make a way out of no way? What does creativity in general look like in a congregational setting? There are a few examples I will share just to start the juices flowing. My last ministry, I was an interim minister in Austin, at First UU of Austin, Texas, which was a rather large congregation. And they were looking at doing some anti-racist, anti-oppressive work by beginning at home, beginning within their own congregational context. And they were wanting to start flattening the hierarchy. They had always, up until then, had a senior minister and an assistant minister, and decided to move to a co-ministry model. And so I came in as an interim co-lead to help them do that work, which was amazing and fulfilling, and in the end sad because they didn't find anyone in their search. But in any case, we did the work, and it was a very creative way to approach working on anti-racism, anti-oppression. At a church I worked at, First UU in Omaha. If you're new to UUism, we have a lot of First UUs of like every big city, everywhere. It was a church right downtown. There was a nearby movie theater that was undergoing construction. They had two local movie theaters. These were dinner movie theaters. And they didn't have anywhere to park all their construction vehicles while they were doing this major work. And it wasn't a whole lot of vehicles, 3 or 4, something like that. So they approached us to find out if there was a way in which they could rent our parking lot for the period of construction. I don't remember exactly how, but the the young adult group wound up getting involved in this negotiation. And what they came up with was that they could use our parking lot if they gave us, at their other movie theater that was not undergoing construction, a private showing of the movie The Hate U Give. And so that was a really fun and amazing congregational experience. We got the whole movie theater to ourselves, and we had food and all sorts of things, just for letting some people park in our parking lot. There are churches that have moved to some form of model of dinner church, where church happens around a table, and it is interspersed with chalice lightings and readings and discussions and messages and things like that while people are eating together. And all sorts of things. Here at Granite Peak, how many of you were here on Friday night? Yeah. We had a line dancing fundraiser where people were invited to come and contribute $20, and there were line dancing lessons, and there was food, all sorts of appetizers and desserts, and there were fun signs about the rules that we had to follow and how horse thieves wouldn't be served, and there was a room for gambling with a card table in it for those who didn't feel like dancing. And I have to say that this is my new favorite example of a congregation being creative, because I have never before experienced a congregation holding a party to fundraise to hold another party. Y'all are awesome. The fundraiser, for those of you who don't know, is for the party after we rededicate our new sanctuary. So it was a party for a party. So all of you have colored index cards that you got to choose your own color, and writing implements, either a crayon or a pencil or a marker or a pen. If you don't have them, head on back, and Moira's waving the cards around over on the side in the orange shirt there. The cards intentionally have two sides. One is blank, the other has lines on it. So you have choices about how you can use these. You can write words, you could draw pictures, you could write musical notes, whatever it is that you want to do. You can fold them into origami if you want, whatever it is. But these are for using starting today, but also going into the future, and you can add more cards. You're probably going to need more paper than just one. And I'm going to invite you to ponder 2 questions. And while everyone is getting back to their seats, I'm going to grab my water. Here are the 2 questions. In what ways would you like creativity to show up in your personal life? That's one question. The other question is, in what ways would you like creativity to show up at Granite Peak? How would you like creativity to show up in your personal life? How would you like it to show up at Granite Peak? So as you begin to ponder these, you are not expected to have instant answers. There are some helpful things to think about in terms of creativity. One is the idea of openness. People who are open to new experiences, to new ideas, who are willing to consider, we talk about outside the box thinking, right? Outside the box thinking, that is one of the critical aspects of being able to be creative, is being open. So if you are not normally a very open person, find some ways to expand your openness bit by bit, and that can be helpful. And remember that creativity isn't just about art. You do not have to be an artist. You do not have to be a musician. You do not have to be a poet. Creativity shows up in all sorts of ways. It can be the way you organize a spreadsheet. I'm not a spreadsheet person, but there are beautiful spreadsheets out there that I am absolutely amazed at. One of you made one recently about the different committees and budget lines and who's responsible for those. Yeah, it's Stephanie. So it can be a great spreadsheet. It can be life hacks, things that you come up with, unusual ways to get something done, whether it's opening a pickle jar or whatever that makes people's lives easier. Think broadly. Another key to be creative is putting lots and lots and lots of ideas out there. Quantity is important here. You could write this down because you're never going to hear me say it again. I usually very much follow the dismantling white supremacy culture of quality being more important than quantity. But today I'm saying quantity is really important in terms of being creative. You put tons of ideas out there, whether it's by writing words, by making poetry, by drawing sketches, by putting little doodly musical notations on paper, whatever it is, the quantity is the most important part. I watched some TED Talks in getting ready for doing this sermon today, and one of them was about original thinkers, people like Albert Einstein or Mozart or Beethoven, and he was had collected all this data about what it is that makes an original thinker, and found that people like Mozart and Beethoven were great because they were prolific. They put tons and tons of stuff out there, tons of compositions out there, and that's where the great masterpieces came from, right? So not everything you do is going to be a great masterpiece. Not every sermon's going to hit it out of the park. That's just how it is. But you keep putting it out there and putting it out there and putting it out there. And the more you do, the more likely you are to find some of those really great ideas. You don't worry about the bad ideas. You're going to have bad ideas. You just toss those out and then find those great ones, those little nuggets that are mixed in. Don't be afraid to try. Just try. The way change happens is not by thinking about it and planning it in advance. It's about doing. So put the stuff out there, do it, experiment, try. Don't sit in a meeting remaining silent, just throw it out there for consideration. We'll be gentle with each other as we're trying to be creative. And allow your ideas to percolate. So you know how there are these stories. Every family has these stories that live within them, that get told over and over again about how and so did such a ridiculous thing, or such a ridiculous thing happened, or whatever, right? Anybody not have those stories in their family? So this is a story about me. When I was a freshman in high school, I had to write an English paper. This was a big deal because this was a transition from 8th to 9th grade, and we were no longer writing book reports where we summarized what happened in the story. We were expected to read literary criticism of the book. We were expected to analyze the book, etc. So this was a big change in thinking for all of us. We had never done this kind of work before. My book was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And unfortunately, the night before the paper was due, there was a dinner that I had to attend. It was for all the people who, through the course of the school year, had been the student of the month. And this was the culminating honor students. We're all getting together to celebrate you dinner. Well, me and my parents sat down with my classmate, Alan Dinkle, and his parents, and somehow it came out that neither one of us had begun to write this paper. our parents were so antsy in their seats. Nobody could wait until this thing was over. We had no interest in being at the dinner. We just wanted to be able to go home and write and get our work done. Anyways, in the end, all turned out well. Ellen and I were the only two to get A's on the paper, which probably just ticked our parents off even more. But this is how it works with creativity, right? So we did not actually begin the paper after that awards dinner that night. This had followed weeks and weeks, more like months, of reading the book, going to the library, reading what the literary critics had to say, taking all these notes on note cards, organizing the note cards on outlines, and thinking about it and pondering it and percolating. That's the word I like to use, especially when I'm preparing sermons. I percolate. So while the writing began after the dinner, the percolating was the important part. This TED Talk guy also found out that the people who procrastinate are actually the ones who tend to be more creative. And he told a joke. He said, he is not a procrastinator. He called himself a precrastinator because he get everything done months and months in advance of the deadline. So this was not his personality type at all. But he said some of the people he talked to said, yeah, some people call it procrastinating. We call it thinking. So likewise, the point of this story is not really about me. The point of the story is how this process works. The cards you got today are not the end of the process. They're the beginning of the process. They're an invitation. You can start scribbling and drawing on them right now if you want to, but they're for you to take home and to percolate. And as we begin our new congregational year, to consider those questions. Where would you like creativity to show up in your personal life, maybe in your spiritual life? And where would you like creativity to show up at Granite Peak? One of the really interesting things to me was how much the process of creativity really overlaps with the process of spiritual practice. A lot of the same things are recommended. If you want to spark creativity, you're supposed to go out in nature, observe the outdoors, spend time contemplating by the pond, spend time reflecting, writing, journaling, moving in some way, like taking a walk or a roll, or going through a labyrinth, drawing, writing. Think about walking meditations or Lectio Divina, in which you read a passage and you spend time contemplating, and what you write your response to the theology of the passage, and it may come out as poetry, or it may come out as art, however it works for you, piece of music, whatever it is. It can even be by switching from one creative process, like writing a paper, to another, like going to art night, and then going back to the original one of writing the paper. Some of you know I took Hebrew in seminary for a year. I'm also taking Hebrew right now with Rabbi Susan over at the temple. And I know it's kind of geeky, but I like it. In Hebrew, there is a verb, bara, and it means to create, but it is only used in the context of God creating. Only God baras, only God creates. So while we humans may not be creating entire universes like the stories of God creating the world, creating the universe in the Hebrew scriptures, look at all we have done. Look at all humanity has created over thousands and thousands of years. For good or not so good or outright evil, look at all that we have created. Even so, with all of that creativity, none of us has created ourselves. We did not ask to be born. We were not born by doing anything on our part. Yet we as humans are capable of creating the most amazing things, including other human beings, whether that's through sexual reproduction, a whole variety of various fertility treatments, or even cloning. Whether we've done it or not, we know how. We may even be in the process of creating beings vastly more intelligent than any one of us ourselves. So, yes, the world is on fire. There are a lot of places in which there is not an honest relationship with reality. We can still bring our immense capacity for creativity to these problems that we have at hand. We can create an oasis here at Granite Peak, and it will coexist along with other oases like at Puff and other local places of refuge within our greater Quad City area within our state. We can, even with the world on fire, we can help make our world better with creativity, through creativity, bit by bit by bit. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Now, let us rise either in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 145 as tranquil streams that meet and merge.
As tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free. Freedom, the bonds that bind the mind to narrow thought and lifeless creed, free from a social code that fails to serve the cause of human need, a freedom that reveres the past but trusts the dawning future more, and binds the soul in search of truth, adventure boldly and explore.
We'll now be extinguishing the chalice. And the words will be on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As you go forth, may your muses go with you, blessing you and all others with the spirit of creativity and of life itself.